watching. You are watching.
You're watching. You guys are watching.
You're watching. Soulful discussion.
All right. So hi, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good.
All right. So how did we just meet right now? How did our paths cross?
We were at the laundromat and you asked me if I wanted an interview.
Okay.
I was so nervous about it. I still am, but
Absolutely.
I'm still doing it. I'm just going for it because
There it is. Like,
I just want to challenge myself.
And I had to ask you a couple times, like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Is anything bad? Like, you were kind of like thinking about everything. You were like this, and that. Like, but in the end, nothing like that's gonna happen. So, first of all, what did I push about? What are we doing today?
We're gonna talk about mental health.
Okay. Two other topics. I hear you. You forgot?
Yes, I did.
All
I
right,
was so nervous.
We're gonna talk about your thoughts about how you feel about feet.
About feet?
Yeah. Mental health and then reflexology.
How do you know I hate feet?
Oh, there it is. Okay, that's even better now. That's even better now. Right into you. So, first question is, so because you said you hate feet, what are your thoughts about, like, what do you think about when you hear feet? First thing you think about?
It makes me cringe, like,
Makes you cringe.
toes.
Okay.
I think they look so ugly, especially mine. They're chubby. I don't like them.
Okay.
But then I'm gonna try to explain it.
Okay.
So I was always insecure about my feet. I never wore sandals or anything. And then I never even got pedicures.
Really?
Because I just didn't like feet.
Got
But
it.
I recently started doing it because I want to be comfortable with myself in all aspects.
That's good. So you're kind of already practicing, like, when we're talking about exposure therapy, like putting yourself out there, even though you might feel uncomfortable, you're still going through it, right? So we're gonna ask you some questions today about how you feel about feet and things like that. Just feel free to answer however you like, okay? Mental health. What's the first thing you think about when you hear mental health?
Mental health, I think about all the different things that people deal with, like depression, anxiety, and how there's so many people dealing with that, and a lot of them can't get help, especially if you're from a community like this one, mine, where I grew up. They're not really educated on mental health.
For sure. And I think a lot of times we don't have the resources to go out and get like the help that we need. So a lot of times we just end up having to like kind of deal with it, right? So I'm gonna ask you some questions today. We're gonna talk about like social media and the impacts it can have on depression and anxiety. So just feel free to answer like about this question how you feel, okay?
Yeah.
What about reflexology? Have you ever heard of it before?
No, I haven't.
I bet you have. You probably just don't recognize the term. But like as I start to talk about it, you'll probably recognize what it is, and you can just tell me like what your thoughts are about that. Okay? So let's start with the first question. Okay. What are your thoughts about how the world is starting to become more aware of mental health and like what we're starting to do about it? What do you think about it?
I think that's so great that it's finally like people actually pay attention to it now and take it into consideration and like put effort into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Because for so long, a lot of people have been dealing with it, and they cope with it in a bad way, which is like drugs, alcohol. And we see a lot of that in our community.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's because they didn't have the mental health resources.
Yeah, and you don't, not only that, but like if you look at it this way, right? Think about like a family who like your parents didn't have it, your grandparents didn't have it, so like it's getting passed down. So like they don't know how to deal with it.
Generational trauma.
Exactly. So they don't know how to deal with it, and then you don't know how to deal with it. But I think that it's good that we're kind of finally starting to try to break through and figure out like how to like help out. So definitely some good things there. In terms of social media, right? What are your thoughts about it, and then how do you use it yourself?
Social media. Well, I do have social media, but I'm not so into it.
Okay.
And then, in my part, I kind of do like it because I'm so into the gym and stuff. I recently got into the gym, so like on my explore page, I'll see like how to grow muscle, what to eat, diets and stuff. And I try not to follow those celebrities that are so perfect because all that is fake.
Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. I think I find that out with a lot of ladies who are talking to me about this. They're like, that other side that you see that they're just showing you the positive, they never show you like the negative side, the hard things to deal with. So like being able to learn, like
they put a good picture, all the good pictures.
Exactly. They're not gonna put up the struggle. It's just like what we need to learn about so that you know like, yeah man, it's gonna take me some time to like get up to that. Like I'm not gonna just go there from like overnight. So
yeah, exactly. They put false images, basically.
Yeah, false positives, absolutely. In terms of social media, right? Let's say somebody came to you and they were like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you the power to change whatever you like about it." What would you change?
What would I change about social media?
Yeah, if you could change anything, somebody said, "Hey, man, I'm giving you the power. Do whatever you want to change it to make it better, or whatever it is you think would be helpful."
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
And then I'll ask you this, right? As a follow-up, kind of maybe like guide you in the direction. Do you think that maybe it's not anything wrong with the social media, maybe it's the people who need to be like kind of like instructed and educated on like the proper way to like maybe like help other people out with posts? Maybe it's more of that. What do you think?
Yeah. Maybe it could be, it's probably a good resource, it's just the way people use it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that a lot of times,
I don't know how to explain
because it's a tool, right?
Yeah.
And like with any tool, like if I take a hammer, I need to screw something in, but I take a hammer and I try to screw it, of course it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But if I take the same hammer to hammer a nail, it'll work. So it's like,
yeah, it's based on how you use it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that we need more help in terms of educating people on the proper way to do it, right?
True.
In terms of anxiety, right? What are some things that bring you anxiety and and you don't have to go too deep, just like maybe more surface level. What are some things?
Things that bring me anxiety are probably trying new things out,
okay.
or like,
so
communicating with people, yeah.
So both double.
Yes. And dealing with financial struggles.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's for everybody, right? Like,
yeah.
It's just unless you're rich, you don't really think about it, but yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But overcoming it little by little. Like right now, I didn't want to do this, but I was like, I have to do this because I just want to try it out. I have to get overcome that fear.
Absolutely. And so right now, I'm telling you, we've been talking for 6 minutes. How are you feeling?
That was really fast.
How are you feeling?
I feel comfortable.
See, that's what I'm saying.
And this is so interesting.
That's what I was telling you. Like, it's gonna get you more comfortable. So now you kind of talk about the anxiety that you deal with. What are some things you do to like cope with those anxieties? Like, I'm feeling it. I know that it's there. Like, what do you do to like counteract it?
I try to think on the positive side.
Okay. Yeah.
And
do you do anything like activities, like maybe like
listen to music?
Oh, so you listen to music.
I go to the gym.
Okay.
That helps me out a lot.
That helps you out because like you release all these like endorphins and stuff, right? That help you out like in promoting like happiness and things like that.
And then a mental health issue that I personally deal with is depression, more than anxiety.
All right.
And so the gym keeps me going.
Okay. So you tend to think a lot about the past and things that have happened in the past. You had some things happen, so you think about that because that's what brings on depression, right? Anxiety is all about things in the future, like they haven't happened yet, but like you feel uncomfortable with it because you don't know what's gonna happen. So absolutely. Okay. So let's get into these questions now. Be intrigued to see how you feel. What are your thoughts about your feet? How do you feel?
About my feet?
Yeah.
I don't hate my feet. They're just ugly. I don't like them.
So
but I don't hate them anymore.
You don't hate them, but you think they're ugly.
Yes.
Okay. So why do you say that? Do you have any bad experiences? Anybody ever told you that? Or what
I just don't like feet. I never liked feet.
Okay.
Like everyone's feet, I'm just like, ugh.
So in general, so now, was there anything that happened that maybe caused that for you? Like sometimes
you know what? I'm gonna be so honest with you.
Okay.
I think growing up, I had like an ingrown toenail.
Oh, okay.
And then it was just bad. I just started hating feet after that because
So you
I was so shy about it.
Yeah, you had a bad experience. So that bad experience caused you to like start to feel like self-conscious, and then you started to let other people feel like, damn, like this is bad. I get it. That's cool. I'm glad that you're being honest about it. Right? Let me ask you this: have you ever received compliments before your feet? Anybody ever told you, hey, you have nice feet? Has that ever happened to you?
No, because I never showed my feet.
Okay, so you also have that too, right? You've never experienced a positive side of it where somebody has complimented you to say like, hey, your feet are actually nice. So for you, you've only had the negative experience, never a positive experience. Okay, so it's making sense. So let me ask you this. Let's say it's a rare occasion. You're wearing sandals. Somebody compliments you and says, hey, you have nice feet. How would that make you feel in that moment?
I would be like, thank you.
Okay.
I'll be probably more confident about my feet.
Okay.
I'll start wearing sandals more often.
So yeah, you need to experience some positives in terms of this so that you can get more confident. Absolutely. Now, in terms of compliments you do receive, right? Not just about your feet, but in general. What are things you do like to be complimented about? Like if somebody's gonna compliment you, you're like, that makes me feel good.
My weight loss journey.
Okay. All right. So you had a journey that you've been on. You feel like you worked hard to get there. So for you, that's something big.
Yes.
Okay. That's dope. I like that. I like that. In terms of like if you're dating somebody or you're gonna start dating somebody, what are things you would consider to be like a potential deal breaker? Something you're like, nah, I'm not getting that.
When I see like red flags, like maybe they have a bad temper or or maybe just the way they are. Some people are so into themselves.
Okay. So maybe
Like,
somebody who's self-absorbed.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Cool.
like people like that. Well, I wouldn't date someone like that.
Okay. That's good.
And then people that are ignorant.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't have anything to do with intelligence. I think it just has to do with like
They're
certain
not-
things
yeah.
you do. You're not educated on like
There
on
you
this
go.
to like know how to like react and things like that.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. So in terms of pedicures, how often do you get them?
Probably like once a month.
Once a
Now.
month? You do gel?
Yeah.
Okay. Lasts longer, right?
Huh?
All right. It lasts longer, right?
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely. Have you ever heard of a medical pedicure before? All right. So now, and it's something that would have been helpful for you, like you had that in your own toenail. So, medical pedicures when you go see a podiatrist, specialist on the foot, right? They'll take a look at your feet to like make sure like the toenails are growing correctly. They check your toe alignment to make sure it's right. They check your feet for dead skin, fungus, all that. They do all the work there with like medical grade equipment. What would your thoughts be on like seeing somebody like that as opposed to like going to a cosmetic one where they can like give you more insight into your feet? Like they can tell you what type of lotions to use, things like that. What are your thoughts about that?
That's true. That's so smart.
Yeah.
I should probably be doing that, but then I think about it, I was like, what if it's expensive?
It might be, but what if you went once a year? So like, let's say you said you go once a month
Yeah.
to get cosmetic ones. What if you went like once a year to just go see somebody to tell you like how your feet are doing? Because it's the same
You're
thing.
right.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing when you
you're
go to
right.
like get a physical or you go to the dentist and check your teeth. Like all those things are like pretty much the same. Yeah.
That's so true. You're actually right.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
did think about that before,
Yeah.
but then I was like, how do I even do this?
Yeah, you just go look it up, and then there's all kinds of spots all over the place. And they'll help you out and teach you how to do that. Absolutely. How often do you wear open toe shoes? You say you kind of keep your feet covered, but how often do you wear open toe shoes?
Not often actually. Only when I go out.
Okay.
But I'm working most of the time and at the gym, so I can't wear sandals.
Okay, got it. So if you were gonna put a percentage on it, right? What would you
Uh-huh.
say it is?
Probably like 10%.
10% of the time. Okay. I said,
Not
but
often.
this is more about the insecurity, right? Like,
Yeah.
and also because of the time constraints. But if you did have more positive experiences, you would probably feel more confident in like
Yeah.
going out, right?
Like I see my sister wearing sandals almost every day.
Oh wow! And you're like,
I
now
was
I
like,
can do that
damn,
too.
yeah.
Right? Absolutely. Okay. In terms of like going barefoot, how often do you do that?
Barefoot?
Yeah.
No.
Actually,
No
never.
barefoot. No.
Really? Not at
Because
home.
then my feet start hurting.
So not at the beach, not at the park. Really? Not even at the beach.
At the beach? No, I still wear sandals.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. I only get that a couple of times, like so. It's always interesting when I hear it. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of earthing and grounding before? That's when you go like barefoot in grass, dirt, sand. It's all about like having connection to the earth. It like makes you feel like the most at home with earth. Right? It's supposed to be something that's great for meditation. So let's say you are having a long day and like maybe you're dealing with some anxiety. Like going to the beach and like just stepping in the sand and listening to the waves can be something that will like actually help you out, like really talk some mental space. What would your thoughts be on maybe trying something like that, like kind of going out and seeing
Yeah,
how
I
that is? would. Okay, because it could be helpful.
It
too.
sounds so peaceful.
It is.
like-
A lot of people do it, and it's like.
And I have thought about that too, like getting a journal and just writing down my thoughts going to the beach. But I don't do it. I'm just like
You should do it. It's like-
overthinking
and
it.
here's the thing.
And always putting excuses to
And
it.
this is why it's great that like I ran into you, and even though you were like self-conscious and like maybe didn't want to talk, like I'm gonna be nervous. We've been talking for 14 minutes,
No
and
way.
you've been going perfectly fine. Nothing's happened. Like I told you, you've been perfectly fine. All right, so now I'm gonna put you to the test, okay? Can we see what your feet look like? And I know you have the insecurities and stuff, but can we see? I want to try to push you out of your comfort zone.
Okay, you guys can see one of my feet.
Well, let's see both because we need to see the comparison.
Oh my god.
It's gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. Let me get you to actually sit on that stool right there, and then I'm gonna get you to like.
My feet are ugly. I already told you.
Relax. Here, it's gonna be fine.
Oh no,
Since I
I
started
hate
doing this,
feet.
I've seen a lot. Okay.
I hate feet.
Relax. You're gonna be fine. All right. So leave your socks on for the moment. Just take your shoes off.
Okay. I'm gonna put this over here.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right, and then I'm gonna get you first of all to like extend your feet out with the socks on. And just put them on you. Put them up here.
Oh my goodness.
It'll be fine. Put them both out. Like extend them up, like your leg all the way out, and then put your toes up like this. All right. So first of all, what size do you wear?
Women 8.
Women's 8. Does it vary depending on the type of shoe you're wearing? Like it's
Yeah.
a sandal or something like that?
Yeah.
Is it half size down, half size up?
I think sandals it would be.
Half size down, probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're right.
All right, cool. All right, so now let's get you to take the socks off, okay? And I know it's gonna be a stretch. Look at her face right now. She's like, it's like.
I'm cringing so bad.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Because we're gonna get to the mental health after this. I'm gonna tell you about like we're gonna talk about this later, okay? All right. She's going really slow. She's like, ah. All right. And this one.
You hate me.
All right. So
I know
now
you hate me.
Put your feet down
This
flat right
is
here so you
not
can see
cute
top.
at all.
Not flat. You're perfectly fine. So you have a lot of like insecurities about nothing. Like I'm telling you right now. So let me just tell you some positive things that you have. Okay, your toe alignment is really good. Okay, like you don't have any toes that are like really out of place or anything like that. I do see that you have. It looks like a Grecian toe alignment. So we have different toe alignments depending on how our toes are. So your second toe is bigger than the rest of the toes, right? So that's the Grecian toe alignment. If your bigger toe is bigger, that's the Egyptian. All right.
I have heard about it.
Yeah, so that's all you have. So okay, now put your feet all the way up. Let's extend them. Let's see the bottoms.
No.
You'll be fine. You've already come this far. You're fine. Stop. All right, so toes up like this. All right, so now how are you feeling? We're going to do this. First of all, we started off, you did want to do the interview, right? Mm-hmm. Now we've gotten all the way to this step, and I know it's like, oh my God, like this is the worst. How are you feeling?
I feel uncomfortable.
You feel uncomfortable?
Comfortable.
Oh, you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
So now, let me ask you this, right? What are things you do, and leave your feet up a little bit more excited.
Okay.
What are things you do, because like you talked about like what you kind of do already when you deal with anxiety, and this at first was a major stretch. Like I kind of told you like some positives that you have about your feet. Did that make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah,
when
it
you're like,
did.
okay, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna lie to you because I've gone out, I've done this for a while now, I've been doing this for years. Seen a lot of different feet, okay? If they're bad or there's something wrong, I'll tell you. But you're perfectly fine. Like you have very nice feet, so you should be happy about that, right? So I want to talk to you about exposure therapy so that way you can have like a little bit more background about why my channel started and everything. So during quarantine, I was watching another guy's channel, and he was talking about exposure therapy, right? And so exposure therapy is all about the people who overthink situations, right? Like you tend to like be in your own mind to the point where you're like, man, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen. Like, and in reality, a lot of those things you're thinking about aren't really going to happen. It's just stuff your mind's creating, right, to try to prevent you from doing something.
Every time.
Exactly.
Every time.
So, what therapists prescribe for people who are in those situations, let's say you had a fear of approaching strangers, right? Go out and approach strangers. Do it over and over again, right? So that you can get used to, like, that feeling of being uncomfortable. Like, you're like, okay, I'm in this moment, I feel uncomfortable, but I've been uncomfortable before, so here's what I can do to not feel uncomfortable, right? When you're in those moments, you're just supposed to like stop and do a self-assessment and ask yourself, okay, is anything threatening my life? Anything threatening my safety, right? If not, proceed. Because you could be preventing yourself from like experiencing like good events, good moments, things like that, right? So for the example, like if you would have did this interview, right, maybe you would have still been like a little bit self-conscious or like afraid to like do it. But now you've done it and you can always look back on this like, hey, I did it that time and I was perfectly fine, right? So what are your thoughts about this? And so in terms of that, hold on, we just finished up. So when I heard about that, I wanted to marry that together with the subject of feet because a lot of people feel uncomfortable about it. A lot of people are like weirded out about it. They feel like there's negative taboos and like connotations attached to it. So I wanted to marry that together to go out in public, interview them and see what their thoughts are going to be about it, see if they can be comfortable during the interview, right? And also so that the people who like maybe into something like that can be more comfortable expressing that to people, because those people tend to deal with insecurities too, where they're like, they don't want to express it because they feel like somebody's gonna look at them and be like, oh, you're weird, you're strange, or something like that. So to actually like bring a better conversation around it so that people can feel more comfortable about it and it becomes something that's normalized. What are your thoughts about that? Kind of like what I'm doing and then like exposure therapy, what are your thoughts?
I'm so glad you're doing this, and I'm so glad I went for it and now I'm doing the interview because I'm so uncomfortable with my feet. But now I feel a little better about myself. And you're like, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them. I just overthink it.
You are. You're like in your own head.
Much.
And I think what a part of it is too, right? In society, like you see other women who are like foot models and stuff, and you're like, oh, my feet don't look like that. Right?
That's actually true.
But this is, so my channel is called Soleful Discussions, right? And it's not spelled like soul, it's spelled like the soul of the foot. And the reason for that is because we all have different souls, right? We all have different souls as well. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so to each his own. Like somebody might definitely be like, man, she has like some fire feet or whatever, like I really like it. While somebody else might not, they might be like, oh no, but everybody has something that they like about something, so that's all it's all about, bringing positivity to that. So I'm glad we were able to get you out of your comfort zone, all right?
Yes, and people actually don't talk about feet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a taboo. Is that what you call it?
It's a taboo, like, exactly. And I actually learned about something called, it's called the Overton window, right? Where things are discussed in public to the point to where they become something normalized, and that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm trying to constantly talk about it, do these videos so women can see if they can be comfortable, and hopefully the interactions I get will help bring more normalcy to it. So people will be like, you may look at 10 years from now, somebody will be like, oh, feet, man, like I like it, or whatever like that, and it'll be something that can be conversated about. Whereas in the past, like if you talk about it, people are like, man, that's weird, bro. Like, you know? So definitely. So let's get into reflexology.
I love what you do though.
There it is. Now you love feet.
No, I don't love feet. I love what you do.
Okay.
Like you get people to be comfortable with themselves.
Absolutely.
And normalize it.
Exactly. Let's talk about reflexology, okay? So reflexology is about the different pressure points you actually have in your hands and in your feet. So there's pressure points that actually like connect to different parts of your body. So let's say, for example, through massage, through acupuncture, through acupressure, you can alleviate stress and tension to various parts of your body. So let's say you're somebody who deals with migraines, right? There's a portion of your foot and your hands you can massage that will alleviate the tension from those migraines. If your lungs are congested when you sit, there's another portion you can massage and apply pressure to that will like release some of that mucus buildup. What are your thoughts about that? Kind of hearing about that and what it can do for you, like from a little more holistic standpoint.
That's interesting. I've never actually heard about that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why are people talking about this stuff? And why don't I know about it?
When you go get pedicures, let me ask you this: do they usually like massage your feet?
Kind of. But nah.
You haven't been to the right place. You haven't been to the right place. But I was just interviewing a girl on Sunday, and she was telling me about the lady she's been going to for, I don't know, like 10 years. And she's like, this lady like knows reflexology, and she gives her massages like, she's like doing her pedicure, and she's like, it allows her to feel so relaxed. Like she could have a long day at work. She'll go in there, get her pedicure done, and when she leaves, she's like, I'm on cloud 9 right now. So like that's kind of what reflexology does. It like allows you to like relieve a lot of that stress and tension that you may have in your body. Absolutely. So with that being said, how ticklish do you tend to be? Like when you go get pedicures?
How what?
Ticklish you tend to be.
Oh, very ticklish because you know how they use a sponge?
Yep.
I die with that.
Okay. Now there's a trick to helping you out with that. Would you mind if you tested it so I can show you?
What is it?
I'm gonna show you. Is that okay? Can you test it out?
Does that involve touching my feet?
Yeah.
No.
What's wrong? You're like, ugh.
Your feet are ugly.
It's fine. We've already crossed that already. Your feet are fine. Don't worry about that. So is it okay for us to do that? Test it out? No? I don't have to do it. I actually have a tool to use too that we can do it with.
Okay. If you have a tool, yeah.
All right, cool.
You're actually not going to touch my toes, right?
Okay, all right. So like, probably because we're strangers and you're like,
no, I just feel like toes are net.
I don't worry about that. I have hand sanitizer and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to start with the right foot. I want you to tell me where it's sensitive at, and then we're going to say what foot is most sensitive. Then I'm going to show you the trick, okay? So let's start from bottom to top. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and where are you feeling that most?
Right there.
Right in the arch?
Yeah.
Okay, what about here at the top? Not as much? So
It's
right in the
that
arch.
arch.
Okay, all right. Let's try the left. Tell me if this one is worse, okay? 1, 2, 3, and Where you feel it at the most? Same spot?
The arch, yeah.
Which one is worse? Right or left? Right? This one's the worst.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's not as much. All right. I want you to try something for me. Wiggle your toes.
Look at my toes?
Wiggle your toes. Do this.
Oh.
Yeah, wiggle. Is it more or less? Keep wiggling. Keep wiggling. Is it more or less?
More.
Is it the same? It's more? Okay. Let me try my hand. Just so that I can see you, okay? And I want to see what the difference is, okay? I'm going to start here, okay? 1, 2, 3, and where do you feel at most? The same spot? Okay. Wiggle your toes when I'm doing it. Tell me. Just do this.
Okay.
Still the same? Try it. It's less. It's less,
Yeah.
right? Okay, let's try here. Wiggle. Less. Now, you know why it's less. So, first of all, you're actively thinking about doing something. You're kind of focusing on the tickle. That's why it wasn't really working at first. When you're actively thinking about doing something else, so your mind is like, oh, wiggle my toes, right? But at the same time, your muscles are moving, so it can't pick up on the sensation. So when you get your pedicures, when you try that, it'll be a little bit less for you. All right? Cool. All right. Now let me get you to do a couple exercises, okay? And this is going to be the test, like flexibility, dexterity in your feet to see if you have good movement, okay? All right. I'm going to get you to like kind of squeeze this a little bit more. There you go. Now put your feet up. Back out. Yeah. Now toes up. Let me get you to bend your toes, make a fist. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort. Bend them.
If I feel what?
Do you feel any pain or discomfort when you do that? Is it easy to do or hard to do?
It's easy.
Easy? Okay.
I kind of feel like a muscle. Like.
Where? In the back?
Yeah.
I got a trick for you. Okay, relax. Relax your feet.
Oh, sorry.
Let me get you to spread your toes now. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort right now. All right? Is that easy to do, hard to do? Any pain or discomfort? No? Easy? Okay, relax. Wiggle your toes for 10 seconds. Tell me if you feel pain or discomfort. All right. Is that easy? All right, cool. So let's wrap up here. First of all, let me give you a trick for creating muscle. You should feel a little pain back there, right?
Yeah.
Take a golf ball or a tennis ball. In the mornings, roll your foot across it. It'll start to loosen up a lot of those muscles and tendons that you have that in there so that you can be more flexible in those areas, right? And then practice some of those movements at home. Cool? Let's wrap up the interview, okay? In terms of my approach, when I came up to you and I asked you to do the interview, right? Was it good? Was it bad? What were your thoughts about my approach?
When you first told me about it?
Yeah, when I first came to you and I said, hey.
I was overthinking it. I was like, there's no way I'm going to do that. I've never been on camera, especially on the YouTube video.
Yeah.
I was so nervous. I was like, ooh. I was like, I want to do it, but I'm scared.
You're scared.
Yeah.
But what was my approach like? Was it good when I came up to you?
Yeah,
and
it
asked you?
was good,
It was good?
yeah.
Okay. So it was just more you on the other side.
Yeah, it was me.
Okay.
But I'm glad you encouraged me to.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, no, I'll pass.
So in terms of like the interview as a whole, right, from start to finish, did you see how everything was going in the line? Did it make sense? Did you learn anything new?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff for you, right?
Yeah.
You learned about exposure therapy. You learned about like medical pedicures. You learned about how to not be so ticklish when you get pedicures. A lot of stuff there, right? So the last thing I'll ask, from a mental health standpoint, a life lesson you learned, some wise words that somebody once said to you that you can share with my channel.
I don't know if I know how to say it into words, but basically, if you don't give yourself that opportunity because you're scared,
Okay.
that could be the best decision you make, but because you're overthinking it, you're gonna take a loss.
Absolutely.
When it could probably be the best decision ever.
Absolutely, because it can open up the world for you, right?
Yeah.
Just like one experience, because you may feel like, man, if I do that, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen, but do you have any evidence that that's gonna happen? That's what you gotta always ask yourself, like, is there anything in my life that's happened where I've had evidence that that's happening? Because if not, what am I worried about?
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Definitely appreciate you stopping to do this interview. I'm glad that it was something that could be helpful for you. All right, and we hope that you have a great one. Okay?
Thank you, you too.